Hey, welcome back to the podcast, Evil Dungeon Master Universe Podcast. I am your host, Evil Dungeon Master Vince, and it is Monday. It's time for a new podcast. But first, EvilDM.com is my website. AskTheDM at EvilDM.com is my email address. Patreon.com/TheEvilDM is where you can support me, or you can go to my YouTube channel and just click join and support me there. Both the tiers there and either place supports, or you can go to buymeacoffee.com/TheEvilDM for a simple donation if you'd like to tip the jar. With that said, let's get into a couple more things. Oh, there will be a stream this Wednesday here on my YouTube channel, Random Rolls, but there will be no members stream on Friday because I will be at GalaxyCon in Oklahoma, going to do GalaxyCon things. Anyway, on with the topic at hand. Today we're going to follow up on what was the topic of last week, where I talked about, is the monk a useless class? And just about everybody did agree with me on that. Most people said the monk was garbage. Some people said they had a fun time playing it, and they dealt with the issues that the monk had of being a very punchy bag, so to speak, at first level through lower levels, and it made it a very impossible class to play when it came to maintaining the class. I mean, some people did it. I've done it. It's not easy. You want to be a background player with that monk until you can get high enough level to actually make some type of impact on the party, with the party. But as a lot of people pointed out, and I completely forgot about this, Dragon Magazine from September 1981, so Dragon number 53, did a lot of revamping of the class. When you open up that magazine, if you can get a hold of it, page 7, there's an article by Philip Myers, depends on how his name's pronounced. I'm sure someone will point that out, but he wrote an entire article revamping the class from just about the ground up. It's called "He's Got a Lot to Be Kicking About," and the first page of the actual article itself, he tears into pretty much the class itself. Not in an insulting way, but in fact of saying he got this, he got that. It's really just wasteful. I mean, he's useless, much like how I agreed with just about everybody on the comments for that. And thank you for those people that commented. A lot of people commented. Appreciate that. I love those comments. He went through the class and, well, he revamped it. Make it better? I don't know. That's what we're going to look at today to see if he made it better or made it mediocre or worse. I don't know. One line in here that stuck out to me that I had to kind of giggle about, whereas that it's oh yeah. So in essence, then the monk is a useless character at low levels and mid levels, and extremely difficult to maintain at upper levels. The player with visions of Bruce Lee or David Carradine dancing in his or her head is in for a big letdown when such a player tries to run this monk character. That just made me giggle because most people, when they played the monk, because they thought of Bruce Lee or David Carradine in those situations because Kung Fu and the Bruce Lee movies, and especially when this was out, this magazine, and or the playing D&D in the 80s, martial arts or ninja movies were all the rage when it came to playing characters and stuff like that. Please, we used to have ninja stars, Chinese stars, whatever you want to call them. We called them Chinese stars back in the 80s. And I remember it was, who could find the coolest looking one when you went to the flea market, because they always had them at the flea market, and whoever had the most like sides to it was cooler. And they let us buy these things when we were little kids, and nobody batted an eye about it. So anyway, let's get on to it. So they revamped the table for experience. We got a little bit different table of experience. Instead of a 4 hit die character, you're now using 6 hit die. Okay, that's a little bit better now. It gives me a little bit more of a beefier monk when it comes to playing it. And the first thing you notice right off the bat is your armor class starts at 6, not 10. So it's like, oh, much, much better. And by the time you get to level 21, you're at -5. So that's awesome. And right off the bat, you do get some abilities. Right off the bat, your open hand damage is 1 to 4, and you get the ability to feign death at first level right away. And then you get some more abilities as you grow up, expand in level, like speak with animals, immune to disease, mind masking, things like that. And you even have invisibility once per day as a psionic power. Or actually, no, once per day. Oh, sorry. Usable once a day. Oh, yeah, it is once a day for a turn. The monk is achieved beyond 6th level. Also gives you more of a fighting chance in battle because you have more things. That you are limited to move silently, hide in shadows, hear noise, climb walls, find traps, but not remove traps. And now we go back to any advancement beyond 11th level requires special handling. As far as, remember when we discussed how you had to defeat certain monks of title class, and this one starts at once you get beyond level 11, and you're a superior master, but there's master of the dragons and things like that you have to defeat. But combat's not required until level 12, and losing cost a flat 100,000 experience. And it also introduced multiple orders, such as lawful good, neutral, and evil, each having their own leadership ladder, some of them requiring combat, other promotion or divine intervention, things like that. So there was a couple things that they did that really did that. I liked how they revamped the entire class. One thing that I kind of, I don't know, at let's see, at 10th level, a monk's hands and feet become the equivalent of a +1 weapon for purposes of determining what creatures they can do damage to. At 18th level, they have the equivalent of +2. The moral of the story is you can't karate chop an iron golem, it says there. So it says the purposes of a +1 weapon. I'm assuming what the way that it's written, the equivalent of a +1 weapon means magical weapon for purposes of determining what creatures they can do. I guess when it comes to only this creature could be hit by +1 weapons, but usually it says, and I'm not 100%, but if I recall, it usually says most of these creatures say +1 weapon of magical properties or magical weapons. So did they give the monk at 10th level the ability to have a magical hit ability? Their hands and their feet become +1 weapons of magical status? Or they're just allowed to hit things that only require +1 weapons or better? So I guess it really depends on the wording and how you think about it as a dungeon master. And I don't know. I mean, do you think a monk should have the ability to just naturally have +1 weapons on their hands and feet because they're such great martial artists, so to speak? And I'm doing that in quotes. And they studied the path and dedicated their life. I guess it's not that big of a deal because a +1 at level 10 is you're behind everything else. But then again, you if you lose all your weapons and everything and your equipment, say you get captured, whatever, or picked, knocked out, and things taken away from you, you always have your hands to fall back on or your feet to fall back on as a weapon of defense with this +1. I don't know. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Is it a big deal? I don't know. Let's see. I guess that someone would have to play this class and tell us all about it. And if you have played this class, let me know in the comments your experiences with this class and how it worked out for you. I'm interested to see. Their open hand attacks per round will start increasing. You go from 1 to 3/2, and then you get 2, and then you get 5/2, and then you just get 3 attacks up until level 17 when you start doing 4 attacks per round. So that's not pretty shabby there. So back to the orders that I was talking about before, because there's different hierarchies. It says here in upper level advancement options, monks can be either lawful good, lawful neutral, lawful evil, which we already knew. The player's handbook makes no mention of separate monastic orders for these alignments types, and it follows that all monks are part of one big brotherhood, whether they be good or evil. In many respects, this does not make a great deal of sense. For instance, and this is a relatively minor point, the title names for monks sound like they were designed for lawful good or lawful neutral monks and evil only. An evil grandmaster of flowers is like, quote unquote. Either we must do away with the evil monks, which would be a loss, or the system can be altered to be more appropriately accounted for them. One solution to this problem is to allow the existence of separate, parallel monastic orders, at least 3 of them, and perhaps more. There could be more than one of each of the upper level monks, but only one per title per order. Each order would then be decided how to solve the advancement problem. Lawful neutral orders might opt for the present system, as modified by number 3 above, which means single combat as a means of advancement is not required until the monk reaches 12th level, and only then and then if the title is occupied. A monk who loses a challenge loses 100,000 experience points and cannot challenge again for 1 year. 1 year. Lawful evil orders might insist that combat be to the death, thus solving the problem of rematches constantly plaguing upper level figures. Lawful good orders might forbid advancement by combat, requiring candidates to wait until vacancies occur. When, for instance, the reigning master of winter dies, all lower masters could advance upon obtaining sufficient experience points. A panel of masters would decide to whom to promote among the 3 masters of dragons and current superior masters. Sounds like a Jedi council is involved here. You could sit on the council, but you not have the rank of master. One of those. Advancement by default should indeed occur only on a fairly regular basis in a sort of order, if only because the reigning Grand Masters of Flowers is probably close to death, being old. Divine Ascension being powerful, or both these odds are suggested for such events. So it's kind of interesting how he thought about that. Monks are lawful good, lawful neutral, lawful evil. Why aren't there different orders of these alignments? Why are they all just one big group living in harmony together and, following the rules? It doesn't make a lot of sense. He's right. So that was a bonus right there. One thing I do like is that they have a chance of vacancy per year. It's a little chart here on the next page 9. When it goes level 12 to 21, the chance of a vacancy because of maybe a death or a challenge or something that gives the player a little bit of hope. Master of Dragons, 3%. Master of the Direction of Wind, northeast, southwest, 1%. Master of Winter, Autumn, Summer, Spring, depending, 2 to 6%. Grandmaster of Flowers, 10%. Being that the Grandmaster of Flowers is so old at that point, they consider him to be vulnerable from aging out. So, and aging out meaning, death. So, I kind of like the idea that has that. And also, this covers and kind of hints at the fact that, say you're sitting at Master of the North Wind and you just defeated that person or whatever, you somehow obtain the title. Now there's going to be NPCs that are coming for you at that level. Yeah. That could be a great thing for a DM, and having a random, NPC following the party around and challenging your monk to combat. Sure, maybe he loses and your player character wins. But who's not to say that this reoccurring guy will not show up later down the line in your campaign a year from now, in campaign terms and not real life, because 1-to-1 time is dumb. So, yeah, that's kind of a reoccurring NPC right there. And who says just because he lost doesn't mean he's not going to leave you alone? He could be bitter and disgusted with it and maybe try to ruin the party. He could be an NPC villain that follows the party around, studying this monk that he lost to just to see if he can figure out a way to beat him in the future. So you got a great NPC story built right into it. They don't really talk about that too much in the player's handbook, as far as I recall. And it honestly never really crossed my mind that when we got up to those levels that an NPC would be challenging you. Never thought about it until this article, when I was reading this article, that he would possibly have some type of person looking to get the title, just like he was looking to get the title one day. So I'm really into that. I like the idea of it. Overall, I really like the changes that were made to this. It makes it more playable as far as uh, picking up this character class and running with it. It makes it feel more like, Kung Fu the Legend. Well, Kung Fu, if you're in the 80s, Kung Fu. And it gives him more of a fighting chance to move forward. I like the idea. I like the idea of the challenges from the NPCs. I like the idea of how the different orders of the alignments work. Uh, One thing that I don't like with the monk thing is once you hit level 12, 11, and you're going into 12 when it comes to superior master or master of dragons, whatever it is, superior dragon, yeah, master. There can only be a certain number of those of the title, and if you don't happen to defeat or kill or whatever, depending on your alignment, that other person, you're stuck at that level, and you get zapped 100,000 experience points, depending. And for 1 year, you can't challenge until the time's up again. So your character, so to speak, could be stuck at level 11 for quite some time. Even if you have enough experience points to go to the next level, doesn't mean you'll get the next level, because you have to defeat or somehow get around or hope there's a vacancy or the Jedi Council of Monks promotes you. Whatever method you decide as the DM based on this article would give you the idea of what your player is in store for. So the party itself could be advancing in levels. Meanwhile, your monk is stuck. And regardless of which class you play, the one in the player's handbook or this one, you're still stuck when it comes to if you lose. So that's something to think about when you're playing this class and moving forward, because the Dragon Magazine 53, after looking it over and looking this everything over and the stuff that they get, hell yeah, this makes it awesome, this class. But again, you have to think about the upper levels, and chances are probably your character will never make it to those levels anyway. A majority of campaigns that play probably peter out around 7th level, 8th level. It's usually when a group kind of gets bored and they want to move on. Uh, Most of the games that I've been involved with, running and or not, playing in, whatever, generally around that level, people start to get a little tired and they want to change. There's so many games out there, so people sometimes want to change and they put campaigns on pause. Maybe they'll come back to it. There was a lot of times when I was younger, we did go back to campaigns, but I've noticed recently that when we play games, we play for a certain amount of time until people kind of get tired of it and they're just like, yeah, I want to play a little bit of sci-fi, Star Wars, Star Trek, whatever. And they put the other campaign on hold, and sometimes they don't want to go back. But that's not always 100%, so don't be like screaming at me in the comments for that one. And I'm sure there's lots of people out there that stick to it every week or every month or whatever. They keep playing AD&D, and there's nothing wrong with that. Tell me what you think about this, Monk. If you can get a hold of the Dragon Magazine number 53, and tell me what you think about this class. There's lots of stuff in here that makes it a lot better class than the Player's Handbook, to be honest. So, with that said, I'm going to head out. Keep it original, keep it old school. Good night, and God bless everybody.